Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Certainly, Jesus will find you. You might want to think twice about avoiding Jesus. He has an uncanny way of catching up with you. You can run, but you can't run forever. The name Jonah immediately comes to mind. Sure enough, he ran from the assignment God gave him, but he and God had an encounter in the belly of a great fish. I would love to tell you don't waste your running days, but instead, I want to say to you, just give in to Jesus. Okay, let us look at the story of Peter. Our visit starts in Luke chapter 5, and we're about to see Jesus successfully recruiting some young men for service. It was a day like any other day, and Jesus was by the beach of the Sea of Galilee preaching. I am fascinated that in an era where there was no electronic devices and channels like cell phone and text messages, that somehow people would hear that Jesus was in town and, or in this case, down by the beach where the fishermen operate. And before long, there was such a crowd that Jesus must have been standing up between the water's edge behind him and the huge crowd in front. So he got into a boat belonging to one fisherman named Simon. After taking a break, Jesus told Simon to go out into the deep to catch some fish. Simon and Jesus might well have been meeting for the absolute first time. And he told Jesus, we did that all night last night and we caught nothing. But you know something, Master? We're going to do as you say. They caught more fish than their nets could carry or their boat could contain. Simon was very clear that this was weird, and he did not want to deal with this Messiah, so he begged Jesus to leave. Instead, right there in the presence of James and John, Jesus said to him, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." That one statement changed his life forever. He never went back to fishing. From that day, he became one of Jesus' disciples and was even in the top 3 closest, him and the other 2 guys who were there on the beach when Jesus called Peter. Luke 5, 1-11. Some people get disillusioned with Jesus. They become Christians, but after a while, they feel they are worse off than when they first joined the family of Christians. Maybe something they had hoped for has not worked out. Maybe God did not answer a big prayer and they just walk away dejected and forlorn. I'm not sure if Peter was walking away from Jesus, but this strange event is recorded in John 21. Peter and the other disciples had had 2 meetings face to face with Jesus in his resurrected body. But things were not quite the same. They were not hanging out daily like they used to before Jesus was crucified. And Jesus was not busy doing miracles all around the place and teaching like he used to. I want to think that after seeing Jesus twice, after he came back from the dead, that Peter and probably some of the other disciples might have felt that their life had come to a boring end. We can't follow him because he would appear and disappear, and besides, he's close to leaving, to going back to heaven. Peter, being a strong-willed man, was hanging out with some of the disciples. Where? You guessed right, by the Sea of Galilee. This is very suspicious. Before long, we read that Peter announced the first time since the day Jesus called him that he was going fishing. Fishing, Peter? Yes, fishing. 6 other disciples went with him. The mood was not filled with joy, and after a night of fishing and having caught nothing, they were getting ready to go back to the shore when they saw an obscure figure on the beach. Friends, haven't you any fish? And of course they said, nah, we don't. The voice on the beach said, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. Surely they did. And they caught 153 large fish. Where did we see something like that before? Oh, 3.5 years ago by the Sea of Galilee. We saw him twice since he came back from the dead, and now Jesus just led us into a post-resurrection miracle. This time, Peter did not chase him away. This time, Peter hurried, and leaving the other guys with the boat full of fish, he ran to Jesus. I want to talk to you. Yes, you. Could you be like a Peter? You have been serving Jesus, actively involved in church, reaching others for the kingdom. But something happened recently that made you evaluate your relationship with Jesus, and somehow you feel like going fishing. Somehow this Jesus experiment did not work out in your favor, and so you want to return to your former life. You want to go back to your regular life of catching fish. Seriously? What about the call of God on your life to serve, for example, as a youth pastor or a Bible study teacher, or getting involved in some other ministry in church? But I don't know what happened, but you do. Have you engaged in a sinful lifestyle and you are too ashamed to come back to Jesus? Maybe you are hurt from something that might have happened. You prayed hard for something from Jesus, but it has evaporated into thin air. Jesus didn't answer that prayer. Jesus doesn't seem to care. And you announce, I go fishing. I go back to the life I was used to before Jesus came and interrupted it 3.5 years ago. What do you hope to achieve by returning to your old life, the life that you left behind to follow Jesus? Fishing? Really? Is that the best you can do rather than serve the risen Lord with even more enthusiasm? My friend, I'm trying to land this plane. Jesus found Peter back at his old job, being a fisherman. It is not a surprise that they did not catch any fish. They had not done this for over 3 years, but today, until you figure out what to do with Jesus, you choose to go fishing. And I am telling you, it's not going to be productive. The miracle working Jesus turned up that day and he spoke a miracle into their situation. Everybody heard the announcement. It is the Lord, said John. But Peter, he went wild. He jumped off the boat and swam to Jesus. Yesterday, Peter was going fishing, but today he was running away from the fish and running towards Jesus. Later on, Jesus told him to go fully into the ministry of reaching souls for Jesus. That is Jesus for you. If he called you and you've been dodging and escaping from Jesus, know that he is going to find you, my friend, not to punish you, but to let you know that God still has not given up on the assignment that he has for you. Listen, do one more than Peter. Don't wait for him to find you at the seashore doing what you used to do before you met Jesus. Instead, in this moment, why don't you stop and call out his name, the name Jesus? Quit running away from your kingdom assignment and run towards the call of God on your life. Today, make these words from a hymn your note of surrendering to Jesus so he can fulfill his purpose in you from year to year. All to Jesus I surrender. All to him I freely give. I will ever love and trust him. In his presence I'll daily live.